and you're welcome to another edition of Matters Arising. And today we are going to be looking at how far the federal government is faring in the fight against corruption, and very recently what happened between the FG and the case with Nnamdi Kanu. And of course there are many other court cases that the FG doesn't seem to be doing so well in. Today I have in the studio political analyst that will be doing justice to these topics. And my right is Mr. Akinwande Olusegun. You're welcome. And I also have Mr. Jude Omianawe. You're welcome to the show. Thank you. It is just a little over a month before the FG has another 2 years, in this regime. What can you say so far about the corruption and the corruption fight? Has there been more pains than gains?
All right. The flagship of this administration has been corruption.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can see them just trying out.
Mm.
By the tone of the prosecution of these cases, you know that there is just something of the trial and error thing. There is no template, there is no concrete plans for addressing it. So you won't be surprised that some people are getting off the hook very easily. Okay, but by and large, we've seen a government that has, taken some 2-3 giant strides in trying to make us understand that it is no longer business as usual. They've had some cases, we've seen some prosecutions, they've made some good headlines in the news. Don't you think that is a step in the right direction? You are right, but we need much more than that.
Mr. Ju.
Yeah, the corruption issue in Nigeria, before President Buhari came on board, he made it clear that that is one thing he was going to fight to a logical conclusion. But as it is now, it is the president alone that is fighting corruption.
I don't. Why do you say that?
The president alone is fighting corruption because if you look at what it is, he came on board with that zeal that he is going to fight corruption, but have refused to set up a background. Corruption in Nigeria is not, it has become pathological to such extent that when you want to fight corruption, there should be a system, there should be a template where you have experienced people, lawyers, political scientists, researchers that can look deep into the history of those perceived to be corrupt, so that when the case comes up in court, we have strong argument to nail them.
We have the EFCC, we have the SSS, we have all other security agencies that have been doing one thing or the other to make this happen. I don't...
Sorry to cut you. I believe that it has been business as usual. Some of these people we have working with the EFCC have been errand boys to some of these people. You understand? You should consider the case of the difficulty in having Magu approved as the head of the commission. Is that not a major issue in itself?
No, I would want to look at it from this angle that the Senate seems to be scared of what Magu can do.
No. If you come from that perspective, we might be insinuating that every Tom, Dick, Canary on that floor is a rogue. It is not so. We are professionals there.
But there's a problem with the Senate. The Senate has refused to. They refuse to work fluently with the executive of this present government. You remember the case of Ahmed Ali, the custom boss. It was also a dead end, from the executive, and now Magu. So now the Senate, to me, doesn't seem to be that person that it looks like it is everybody they have a problem with that they are just saying no to.
Yeah, you see, if we look at Magu, without Magu, EFCC can work. Whether he's dead or not, EFCC can work.
But are they working better with Magu?
It will be difficult to say yes or no.
Okay.
It will be difficult to say that. But the problem with the Senate and confirmation of Magu and whoever has to do, without missing one, with the position of EFCC against the Senate leadership. Until that issue is resolved, Senate will not find it easy to pick somebody against them as the head of EFCC.
What is the fear of the Senate?
Permit me to say that the Senate represents the voice of the people.
They are supposed to represent the voice of
the
people.
Do.
Do we want Magu to become the president?
They do. Let me say this. if you want to know whether they're actually the voice of the people, try out an election contest. And you see how easy it is to win a unit, let alone a senatorial district.
Okay, but do you think the people, let us handle our representative and they are speaking for, do you think the people don't want Magu as the ES?
Yeah, that is, it's not very easy to answer such questions because the people we have not been able to mobilize people with the public opinion we have not really served well. But by and large, the rejection of Magu, it would be wrong for me to say at this junction that it is the people that rejected Magu. It is the Senate. It is the Senate. It is the Senate. And the Senate, if we say it is, like I said, it's the Senate, we have senators, 109 representing us. Have there been any senator that went back to his constituent to say, what do you want about Magu? The answer is no. They assume.
I beg to disagree on that note.
They assume.
I beg to disagree on that note. When casting your vote, you are expected to know the person you want to vote for. Okay. Election is by trust. Are you getting what I'm saying? We actually voted for President Buhari because we believe he can do it.
But there have been many betrayals.
Election by trust is in ideal societies. Not in developed society.
Are you saying that society is not ideal?
I beg to say that when we talk about election, election in Nigeria is not far from cash and carry. Election in Nigeria is not far from cash and carry. If you look at those we elected, number one, look at the primary. Are we involved? We are not involved. So whoever is presented to us, it seems to be the best for the political party. And when it comes to voting, most of us vote. A lot of Nigerians that vote are not voting for quality leadership.
What are we voting for?
We are looking for what does the party want.
So is it still ourselves we have to blame for this?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say yes. We have refused to learn from history.
We had a very fantastic election in 2015. It looks like the best. We celebrated it all together.
Permit me to say this.
Yes.
Permit me to say this. The challenge we have, one of the challenges we have in Nigeria is that we make up things.
How do you?
We make up things. We make the world feel that we have done very well, but we have so many issues.
Okay, but by own standard, do you think 2015 election was a better one than the one we had in 2007, 1999?
Not so. It's a case of choosing between two evils.
We settled for a better one.
Yes.
Okay, now let us move away from that. Let us talk about recently the case of the federal government and Nnamdi Kanu seems to be an unending story. And then, of course, there's also a developing episode of that story right now. It was granted some conditional bail, very stringent, and there's been complaints. We are expecting Nnamdi Kanu to get granted bail when he provides a Jewish religious leader, a serving senator with 100 million, like three of them with 300 million. Okay, and then he's not supposed to speak with the press. He's not supposed to stay in a gathering of more than 10 persons. Is this an advanced version of imprisonment for Nnamdi Kanu?
I want to state here that there is pressure on the federal government to release Kanu. The pressure is mounted by that region, and the federal government had told us before now that they cannot release Kanu. We want to say that the release of Kanu is not supposed to be the function of the executive organ of government. That's why you have the judiciary. Judiciary is supposed to look at the merit of the case to know whether he should be released or he should remain there. But one thing we must state here, treasonable felony in a democratic setting is not treated as treasonable felony under the military. There are two different templates. Yeah. This is a democratic setting. You have accused a Nigerian for treasonable felony. He should be given the opportunity to represent himself and defend himself in the court of law, not in a tribunal. But this is what he has been doing. But the same court in Nigeria that sworn in the president had ordered his release, and the executive said no. So he remained there. But when the pressure mounted now on the executive, we are saying, let us give him a trial. We know he cannot meet the conditionality. Nnamdi Kanu is a Nigerian. If he lives there, he has more than 10 lawyers representing him. They will meet with him. Are we there?
Yeah.
They will be found guilty. He will go back home. He will do Thanksgiving in the church. He will drive back to the church. He will go back home. Family will welcome him. In-laws will welcome him. Friends will welcome him. Then he will be found wanting of the law. Then you rearrest him to see he violated the conditionalities of his bail.
So do you think the federal government is just trying to... Is this a setup?
No, I don't want to share that view.
Okay.
Considering what happened around the nature and in some eastern states, people were killed. It was a confrontation against the federal government. So I think the bail condition, to me, is justified in view of the issue involved federally. So you don't leave a man that can be up in arms against the state to walk free without very close contact. So that's my opinion.
You see, when we look at Nnamdi Kanu, we let us compare him with what happened to Nelson Mandela. He should not be quoted. He should not be seen in the midst of more than 10 people. This is Africa. This is Nigeria.
But do you understand where the federal government is coming from?
I understand it.
When the court, don't let us...
What we are saying here, it is not enough to accuse somebody of felony without finding out those things they have done that will constitute felony. It's not just me saying it. What is the background of Nnamdi Kanu? Who are his foot soldiers? Where are the equipment? What has he done that when Nigeria says yes, all this put together constitutes felony? We don't have that record.
If you're trying to set up a government, a parallel government from the central government, is that a treasonable offense?
Yes, it is.
I think that
was what he did.
Does he have what it takes to set up a parallel government?
It doesn't really matter whether he does.
They are
attempt.
You know, is the punishment.
Intent.
Yes.
The intent is actually if the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria had not managed the issue very well then, along that line, it would have been difficult to manage Boko Haram. And we could have gone each other's way.
No.
Are you getting what I'm saying?
This issue is quite different from that of Boko Haram.
Okay. No,
Nigeria,
I'm not saying we have the same issue.
Okay.
But that happened. The height of the struggle of Nnamdi Kanu was when we were struggling with Boko Haram.
Okay.
So should Boko Haram have their way, or we allow Kanu to have his way and deal with Boko Haram? You understand what I'm saying? So if you consider it from that perspective, if we have been unable to subdue that unrest, then there could be escalation. And if you have that, will it be possible for the government of Nigeria to handle crisis in the north as well as in the east?
Okay. Because we can just continue on and we'll just not get to anywhere. But let me just ask you on the final note, and I'm just going to throw this to you. Would you like to see a divided Nigeria?
No. I believe in Nigeria.
Mr.
Nigeria cannot remain one for long. Nigeria one day will divide. How soon, I don't.
Nigeria one day will divide, Mr. Judah said. Well, we'll continue to see and hope that the best is done. And we thank you for joining us on this episode of Matters Arising. We would like you to keep your comments coming in. Thank you very much for